Okay, let's just get this out of the way right now. Almost everything you think you know about Megalodon is probably wrong. The latest science is showing that this prehistoric titan wasn't just a giant great white. Oh no, it was something else entirely, something way bigger, and honestly, a lot stranger than we ever imagined. I mean, just think about it. For nearly 19 million years, this was the undisputed king of the oceans, an apex predator that ruled the ancient seas, leaving behind nothing but teeth the size of your hand and, well, a mystery big enough to fill an ocean. You see, that's the real story here. The twist isn't whether this creature is still lurking somewhere in the deep. The truly mind-bending part is that our entire picture of it, from its size to its shape, has been one giant case of mistaken identity. So let's start our investigation, shall we? How did we get it so wrong for so long? And more importantly, what does the new evidence tell us about the real Megalodon? This right here, this is the heart of the whole challenge. Sharks have skeletons made of cartilage, not bone. And cartilage, well, it just doesn't fossilize well. So for centuries, the only real clues we had were its teeth. And these teeth are absolutely crucial to cracking this entire mystery. And the history of these clues is just fascinating. It all kicks off way back in 1666, when this anatomist, Niels Steno, figures out that these weird tongue stones people were finding were actually ancient shark teeth. That discovery basically invented the science of paleontology. Fast forward to 1835, and Louis Agassiz gives it that famous name, Megalodon, which just means big tooth. And you can see just how dominant they were. We found their teeth on every single continent except Antarctica. They were everywhere. And the reason we found so many is pretty simple, but the number is staggering. Just like sharks today, Megalodon was constantly shedding its teeth. One single shark could have gone through an incredible 40,000 teeth in its lifetime. It was basically littering the ocean floor with fossils for us to find millions of years later. So for a really long time, these teeth were our only guide. And you know what? That total reliance on just the teeth, that's exactly where the first huge mistake was made. For over a century, this was just accepted science. Even Agassiz, the guy who named it, put it in the same family as the great white. And why not? The teeth looked kind of similar, right? Big, triangular, serrated. It seemed totally logical. And this is the idea that gave us the monster we all know from the movies. Basically, a great white shark on steroids. But then, around the 2000s, scientists started looking closer, a lot closer, and the whole case just fell apart. Turns out, the devil really is in the details. A great white serrations are kind of coarse and jagged, but megalodons, they're super fine, almost perfectly uniform. The evidence, hiding in plain sight this whole time, was right there in the teeth. The conclusion was just undeniable. The great white shark did not evolve from Megalodon. They are not even close relatives. Think of them more like very distant cousins who, by pure coincidence, ended up with a similar-looking hunting toolkit. So today, scientists have given it its proper name, Otodus megalodon. It belongs to a completely extinct family of sharks called Ododontidae, the megatooth sharks. And this isn't just a simple name change, it's a total rewrite of this creature's identity. And if you think that's a big deal, that's not the only thing we got wrong. In fact, the most shocking discovery was yet to come. It turns out every single picture you've ever seen of Megalodon is probably wrong, because the largest shark to ever live was actually much bigger than we thought. For decades, based on all the math they could do with teeth and a few rare vertebrae, scientists pretty much agreed that Megalodon topped out at around 15 to 18 meters. That's about 60 feet. I mean, that's already huge, the length of a bowling lane. But that was the accepted maximum, until now. This is the number that changes everything. Groundbreaking research from 2025, led by paleobiologist Kenshu Shimada, re-examined the fossil vertebrae and suggested that some of these things could have reached a staggering 24.3 meters. That's nearly 80 feet long. Let's just put that into perspective for a second. That is nearly the length of a blue whale, the largest animal on planet Earth. This just elevates Megalodon from a giant shark to a true sea titan, an animal on a scale we had never even dared to imagine. And it wasn't just bigger, it looked completely different. Dr. Shimada's team realized the math just didn't work for that old, stocky great white model. The real Megalodon was way more streamlined, a much more hydrodynamic animal. It wasn't a tank, it was a torpedo. And the details of this new model are just wild. It had a much shorter nose and a flatter, almost squashed-looking jaw compared to a great white. It also needed these massive, extra-long pectoral fins just to support its enormous weight. And the closest modern shark we can compare it to, you're not going to believe it, probably the much smaller lemon shark. So of course, this brings up the ultimate question. How could a 24-meter, hyper-efficient predator that dominated the entire planet for millions of years just disappear? What could possibly kill the Megalodon? Well, the answer isn't some single cataclysmic event. It was more like a slow, perfect storm. Megalodon was at the top of its game in the mid-Miocene, but as the planet cooled and entered the Pliocene epoch, its whole world started to fall apart. Its main food, whales and dolphins, started dying off. And at the exact same time, a new competitor shows up on the scene, the smaller, more adaptable great white shark. By 3.6 million years ago, Megalodon was gone. And here's the crazy irony. Its incredible size, the very thing that made it the king, probably became its fatal flaw. It needed a colossal amount of food to survive. So when that food started to disappear and a smaller, more efficient competitor moved in, it just couldn't adapt. It was a deep-sea version of David versus Goliath. And yet, despite all of this evidence, that modern myth just won't die. Could it still be out there somewhere? Let's finally close the case for good. This is the big one, right? Fueled by books and movies, the idea that this mega predator just retreated into the deepest, darkest, most unexplored part of our planet. And yeah, it's a really cool thought, but unfortunately, it just doesn't hold up to any scientific scrutiny. Here's the final nail in the coffin. First, there's simply not enough food in the deep sea to support a creature that enormous. Second, the fossil record is crystal clear. We haven't found a single megalodon tooth younger than 3.6 million years. Third, its job as apex predator was taken over by orcas and great whites. And maybe the biggest clue of all, giant whales like the blue whale, they only evolved after Megalodon was already extinct, most likely because their number one predator was finally gone. So, what's the big takeaway here? Megalodon is, without a doubt, extinct. But what all this new science really shows us is a creature that's so much more complex and fascinating than the movie monster we all thought we knew. You know, it kind of feels fitting that something so elusive could keep its true identity a secret for 19 million years. The mystery isn't whether it's still alive, it's how much more we still have left to learn. Because like any good cliffhanger, the case is closed, but they've still never found a body.